What's up, y'all? This is your girl Megan, and welcome back to my channel. If you're already a subscriber, if this is your first time on my page, just go ahead and mash that subscribe button. You know you want to. Why put off tomorrow what you can do today? And I just want to say, first of all, I want to adjust my hat so you can see my eyes. Happy Friday, y'all. Like, we made it through another work week. Barely. Like, it's been a long ass week for me. And today I want to talk about Mars in the sign of Scorpio. So, what is Mars? Mars is the sign of passions. It's a very animalistic, instinctual type planet. It governs your drive, even your sexual urges, your willpower, your gut reactions to things. And what is Scorpio? Scorpio is actually governed by Mars and co-ruled by Pluto. And it's the lower octave of Mars, with the higher octave being Aries. And Aries is what people would call like the daytime soldier. So it's more of a direct type of energy. Its presence is more visible, easily detectable in your face. Whereas Scorpio, being more hidden, underground, out of sight, more passive, if you will. But when I say passive, I don't mean the type of passive that you would see with a Libra in Mars, which just naturally doesn't like conflict. Scorpio in Mars, they want all the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it fucked up. When you're going against somebody who has a Scorpio in Mars, because keep in mind, Mars also governs your fighting style, the way you combat, the way you deal with conflict. People with a Scorpio in Mars, like, they want the smoke. They're not scared. They're not scary. Okay? But they're a little bit more cerebral in their approach when it comes to their fighting style or how they're going to annihilate a motherfucker. And when you think about it, that's a little bit more intimidating than somebody who will fight you or argue with you, shout you down, or be a little bit more direct in their aggression, like an Aries. You know, a Scorpio Mars person is somebody who will size up their opponent, size up, because Scorpio likes to analyze. Scorpio likes to penetrate and kind of dig into the depths of whatever it is, you know, and get kind of like a psychological understanding of people, places, and things. That's Scorpio energy, period. And with that being said, somebody with a Scorpio Mars, you know, they bring that same concept to conflict. So they size up their opponents, you know, and they have the idea of, well, yeah, you might be bigger than me. You might have more power, physical power than me. You might be better than me. You might beat my ass if I pop off. But I'm going to get you. I'm going to use my brain and I'm going to get you. And I'm going to make it my mission to get your ass in a way that you probably won't even see it coming. You know what I'm saying? It might not be today, might not be tomorrow, might not be next week, might not be the week after that. Bitch, it might be 6 months later and you going on with life, none the wiser. And right when you forget, I'm going to do something that's going to fuck you up. And you going to feel me. So you going to feel me now or you going to feel me later. But I'm going to put a lot of thought into it and you going to feel me eventually. That's Scorpio Mars. And even people who don't necessarily express or actively participate in hurting people or, you know, manipulating situations so that they can hurt people, I find that Scorpio Mars carries this type of intensity because, I mean, the good, on the more positive note, they feel things very deeply. Scorpio and Mars feels emotions so intensely, way more intense than any sign that I've known. And, you know, I think they're misunderstood because, you know, naturally people's minds go towards the dark side and how this type of intensity could go left. But on the up and up, these people make for great friends, great family members. They're very protective of the people they love for that very reason. Those type of emotions, their vulnerability, because keep in mind they're co-ruled by Pluto. Pluto represents power and control. So for a Scorpio Mars to get close enough to somebody where they feel like they can let down their guard, they can relinquish some of that power, like most people would do with their family and friends, like they will die for you. These are some very, very, very loyal people. Now, as I always say, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. So, just as hard as they love, they can hate you with that same energy if they feel attacked, if they feel betrayed, if they feel slighted or wronged. And I have Mars in Scorpio personally. And funny thing, well, it's not funny, it's sad actually. I recently ended a 20-year friendship. Long story short, basically she and I had our issues, and she was because I have a Sag sun, so even though I can be passive aggressive about certain things, I'm not usually. I'm not, and she was very passive aggressive, and we had a situation in which I felt betrayed. I felt like she was no longer honoring our friendship, and because she had been my friend through some of the craziest, like the highs and lows, of my life, and the same for me with her, I felt hurt. And the type of hurt that I felt, like when I get deeply hurt to my core, and that's another thing about Scorpio Mars, you could be surrounded by people. They may have lots of acquaintances. You may have fallouts with people, because that's, to a degree, that's a part of life. But the type of pain and intensity that would be felt from these type of fallouts or disappointments can only be done with people that you really care about. Because once again, it goes back to that control thing, that vulnerability thing, that where Scorpio Mars doesn't really like to let people in. They don't like to let people see them at their weakness. They don't like to let people have access to them. They're, with Scorpio being fixed water, water being, it's a lot of shit that can be popping off underwater that you don't see, just looking at the surface. So Scorpio Mars has a lot of things brewing beneath the surface. And, anytime you're invited, you let somebody into that world, into your, see what's going on underneath the surface, you place a lot of value on that. So anyway, I felt like she wasn't upholding the friendship. She wasn't really, she just didn't value me. And I was disgusted, to say the least. And I acted very, I'm not proud of it, y'all. Don't judge me. Judge your mammy. I know I was wrong, but basically, I called her family. Like, I called her mother, I called her sister, and I, put her on blast. Like, I told them she was a cokehead, and, which, I literally put her on blast. I told all her business. I tried to make her, I went on a smear campaign, which I know is wrong and is disgusting, and I'm not making any excuses, but that's a perfect, one of the best examples that I can think of with that Scorpio Mars. And it's worth noting that she and I live in two different cities. So when this really big fallout happened, initially, because I couldn't get my hands on her, I couldn't confront her face to face. My next thought was, I'm so hurt, I'm gonna find a way to get her. I'm gonna bring her family in this, and I'm gonna expose her for who she really is, and I'm gonna, I'm saying, I'm gonna hurt her. I'm gonna make that bitch feel me. And that's what I did, like a month and some change later. And needless to say, that friendship is over and done with. I'm not proud of it, but, and I'm working on it because I'm working on maturing. Absolutely, I am. But that's that Scorpio Mars. You feel, it gets to the point where it's almost borderline, um, obsession. It's an obsessive type of energy. You obsess over your emotions, whether they're good or whether they're bad. If they're good emotions, it can manifest as you replaying euphoric experiences in your head over and over again. Even when you're in relationships, this draws you closer to the person that you're with because you're so intensely, passionately connected to this person. But on the downside, you can be obsessively just dedicated to fucking somebody up or ruining their lives. Or you could be the type of Scorpio Mars to take that type of energy and direct it inward, which I've also done at certain points in my life. You take that same type of intensity, whatever bitterness, upheavals that take place in your life, when people hurt you, you take it and you channel it inward, and which can be very detrimental to your overall health. You know what I'm saying? Your mental health, your physical health. Instead of releasing it, some Scorpio Mars people, it can manifest as bitterness, substance addictions, not taking care of yourself, because you get to a point where it's like all of that intensity has to go somewhere. All of that energy, all of those emotions have to go somewhere, but Scorpio Mars also makes for people sexually anyway who are very passionate and dedicated to lovemaking. They're not necessarily promiscuous. They could be, but Scorpio in general, like the signature Scorpio energy, has a reputation for being very good in bed. And I think that is not always necessarily because that person is promiscuous or they're dedicated, they love sex. It could also just be that, especially with your Scorpio Mars, you find pleasure in conjoining your spirit with someone else. So it's almost like you look at sex as if it's a spiritual type of connection. A lot of people with Scorpio Mars view sex as a control, a means to gain control over other people. You could, or possibly you could view it as a means to conjoining your spirit to somebody else. So you're looking at it more from a spiritual aspect. And they say when it comes to sex, the more you value or the more you like what it is that you're doing, the better you tend to be at it. So, it's no different with sex, because Scorpio places so much value on sex. It could be why there's, hence the reputation of a lot of people with Scorpio energy just being naturally good in bed. So, there's that. And yeah, so that's Scorpio on Mars. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'll continue this series. And as always, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until next time.